We're being like proper adults and we're having like
herbal teas.
Herbal tea.
I know. If you're telling women that they shouldn't feed themselves, they're not going to feed themselves off life.
So regardless of what I did, I trained my body to store fat really well.
It's annoying, but I think one thing I really wish I realised at drama school was that I was an adult paying for a course, not a child wanting to impress a teacher.
Like, I've had moments where I've looked in the mirror and been like, oh yeah, I got that 6-pack. I look great. And I can say that, yes, I'm happy with how I look. But am I happy?
For literally thousands of years, humans have placed unreasonable beauty standards on society.
Effort does wonders for your figure.
These standards shift and change with time and culture, but all exist in the same truth: we are not good enough as we are.
The strongest, most effective appetite suppressant available without prescription.
Mrs. War was the winner, Britain's most glamorous fatty.
Nowadays, it's near impossible to ignore the huge pressure on everyone to change their bodies. The internet constantly providing this false promise that if you lose or gain weight, if you follow this plan of green tea, if you get a 6-pack, you will become the happier, glowing version of yourself. And yeah, I believed that. All of it. If I change my body, if I lose weight and get that 6-pack, I would be happier, more vibrant and more successful. So I did it, all of the things. And well, did it work? Did it solve my problems? Did I finally love myself? Today I want to discuss body image. This is a huge topic, so I have invited a good friend, Lucy, to explore with me and to hear her stories. We both met at drama school, so we've had similar experiences. We are obviously discussing sensitive topics, such as disordered eating and restriction, so I want to put a trigger warning here, so please be mindful watching. If you are currently struggling with any of the topics discussed and need any help, check out the links in the description below. So, grab a cuppa and let's dive in.
I asked you this slightly before, but when did you sort of notice yourself, your body, as like a thing to be judged and to be observed?
So this is really interesting, because when you first asked me this question, the first thing that came to my mind was the first time that I was aware my body was being sexualized. And I thought, at first I was like, oh, that's not what the question's about. And then I thought about it some more and I was like, actually, I think particularly as a girl, as a young girl then going into a woman, that's always what it's about. You always start to become aware of your body more because of how the world perceives it. Most of my relationship with my body, and probably some of the problems that have come from it, have been because of this link between the way that the world sees my body and how I see my own, and ultimately what men think of it. The first time that that kind of happened to me was kind of the classic thing of, you know, a car or someone like in a van honking at me, right? But I was 13. Oh, the really like horrible thing about it was that I remember being like, oh, as if it was a compliment. So even by the time that I was 13, I was aware that I was supposed to be flattered, that a man of whatever age was taking interest in me, that I should be flattered by it. And I was wearing like leggings and a denim skirt, which was like height of fashion. Back then, when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old, right, I was doing a dance show. So I think at one point I did modern and tap with my friends. We had to have pictures taken in our costumes. I have no clue why, but you know, it was probably for parents, like a souvenir.
All the really flexible kids be like in their cat, like being a cat, like lying in splits.
Right, like they're like,
yeah, and I'd be like, I can't do the split.
I couldn't either. The mine was just like posing. The costume was a purple lycra, tight purple lycra pants and a crop top. So my belly was out. I just remember getting that photo back, and I didn't want my mum to put it out because when I was around that age, I had quite a lot of puppy fat around my tummy. And I remember seeing that photo and being like, I don't like that. I just registered this feeling of disliking what I saw.
And that's such a age to have those feelings.
So, yeah, like it really is. I remember having those kind of feelings whilst I was at dance school. The other girls were smaller than me.
When I was in year 3, and I'm not sure how old I was then, but there was no like negative feelings really. It was just kind of an observation, like, oh, everyone's different. We had these money belts, these that have a little pocket inside where we put our pocket money in for paying for our school lunches. I would put snacks. But I just remember one time they were like comparing the length of the money belts, because you would just adjust it to your waist size. And I was larger than all of my peers. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm like the largest, I have the longest belt. And it never really bothered me, because I was just kind of like, oh, interesting, that's a thing. Until I was really ill. I had the flu and I lost like a stone in about 4 days. I remember all of the cool girls in the class started talking to me and started saying things like, oh my gosh, you look so good, you look so different, oh, you could be a model, like stuff like that. And bizarrely, it was that positive reinforcement changing my body drastically from something that was, I had the shits for 2 weeks.
Isn't it bad that if your body isn't naturally that size to start off with, that essentially for you to lose any weight, something drastically negative has to happen to you, or like a proper amount of like starvation or dieting.
I then thought, oh, my self-worth is totally based on how I look, and if I remain a size 8, people will remain to still be nice to me, and they'll talk to me, and I'll be popular.
So a response normally, because I've had this myself, is oh, you're looking great, and I think if you see that someone has lost quite a bit of weight, I think the best thing to do is to put your personal feelings aside of how you think that they look and ask them how they are, because it's very risky, because someone might want to lose weight, you know, if they want to become healthier, if they want to exercise more, then that's great. But actually, should we comment at all? And even if you think someone's lost a healthy amount of weight, and even if you personally think, because of your own subconscious training, you know, about society, that they look better, maybe don't say anything, because it just reinforces this idea that we are more worthy of admiration if we're smaller. So I think I probably first tried dieting when I was about 15. I remember I kind of took that into sixth form college, in that every other day I would basically be eating about 800 calories. That feels really quite extreme now, thinking about how I eat now.
Like literally, when I say been there, done that, totally. I've been there, done that.
I mean, I think during my first year of sixth form college, I was wearing a leotard and tights because we were about to do some kind of performance, and someone came up to me and they were like, wow, how are you so slim? And I obviously didn't say in response, I eat 800 calories every other day. I did the classic thing of, oh, thanks so much, this is just naturally me. Which is a load of bull. I remember that comment. It kind of reinforces this idea of, well, it's worth it. Yeah. Another kind of comment that I think is difficult is talking about women's appetites. Probably because of the the dieting. I also had a huge appetite. So on the days when I was eating normally, there'd be some times where I would really overindulge. I had a very bad relationship with food when I was younger. In my first year of drama school, actually my foundation year, so I remember coming back home at Christmas. We were having Christmas dinner and one of my family members said something like, hasn't she been fed? Like, do you not feed her? Because I was eating so much food. And for one thing, it's probably because I was excited. I was like, it's Christmas, I can eat whatever I like, no dieting today.
Like permission granted.
I have a lot of memories of people just talking about my appetite or talking about the amount of food that I ate. Is it right for girls to be eating so much? And I was saying this to my boyfriend the other day and I was like, it's so dangerous to tell women not to be hungry. But I think if you tell someone not to be hungry in one sense, you're telling them not to be passionate or not to enjoy life, not to strive for something, not to feel a physical hunger for anything. If you're telling women that they shouldn't feed themselves, they're not going to feed themselves off life. It transfers. If you're telling yourself to mute yourself, to make yourself smaller and shrink and shrink and shrink and not be hungry, then you're just in this box forever. So many of my female creative friends who are performers or writers or anything, it feels like an extra struggle to get yourself to go, I'm worthy of the space. I do not have to be small. I do not have to be satisfied with a tiny morsel of what I'm meant to have.
I really love that, because it's like that whole thing of even with your voice as well, like pipe down, be quiet, make yourself small, women should be dainty. It is that kind of thing of constantly shrinking, like really shrinking yourself, not just physically but also mentally. Drama school, and also like Art Centre, where we have sort of the shared experience. Did your relationship change with food?
I went from doing essentially, in my mind, what I think of as fad diets, in that I didn't really stick to them, into learning what was actually healthy. Is interesting, because I think on one hand I took on the information I was being given. I started having porridge every day so like slow release energy, but I modified. So I went, okay, I'll have porridge for breakfast, but I'll have a really small lunch. And you know, I remember being told that we should be eating more regularly. So I always packed my snacks, but my meals were just not substantial enough. I was counteracting what I was doing. I was eating literally enough to sustain myself. So I remember a lot during second year, I just felt like I didn't have the physical stamina. And probably a lot of it was actually to do with the fact that I should just have eaten something that would have given me some more energy or something, you know, and eat more carbohydrates. My goodness me, I was so scared of carbohydrates, and I was dancing for like at least 12 hours a week.
I wish I was told that actually the more you eat, the better your body becomes at metabolizing food. So regardless of what I did, I trained my body to store fat really well. You know, everyone has those people who they know who just eat whatever they want and don't just have the same, their body doesn't really fluctuate. Because they've been consistent. And I wish I knew that consistency was literally the key. Not consistently under eating, because actually my consistency was actually making my body unwell over a long period of time. No, of course, like if I started eating normally and opening up the amount of foods I was eating and the amount of energy I was allowing in my body, of course I was going to gain weight, because I trained my body for that long to be like, you're in constant starvation mode. Every single morsel you get, like over Christmas, you gain weight a lot faster than any other person.
I know. I wish I knew that too, because I remember leaving Arts Ed and very quickly putting on weight afterwards. And I was kind of prepared for that in a way, because I knew we weren't exercising as much. But suddenly it just felt like I was like, I'm eating very little and I'm putting on a lot of weight. It just felt like something I could no longer control. The year after, I started going to the gym quite regularly so that I could actually increase the amount that I was eating and kind of reverse the damage that I had done. But I was just in such a deficit, like all the time. And you're right, my metabolism did the exact same thing. It served me no favors. And that's not because, you know, I'm not like talking about that because I'm like, and how terrible that I put on weight, but because starving yourself, putting your body into starvation mode, is counterintuitive. So if you're looking to actually lose weight in the long term, it's not a great idea to put your body into starvation mode for years and years and years. Like, it's not going to work.
It has the opposite effect. Like, and it has been proven over and over and over, and yet we still get bombarded with these fad diets constantly. They're like, eat 800 calories a day. I'm like, no. Have you not read science?
Science.
Moving kind of on to like mental state, what did we have to wear for jazz?
Shorts and tights were not allowed. And we also could wear either a leotard or a crop top. Back then, it was very, very hard to find like high-waisted shorts that actually covered the tops of your thighs.
Like all the Capezio ones, I bought Capezio ones because I thought, oh, those are the ones I should have. Tried them on because I bought them online, and they're like right hipster and just hugging your ass cheeks by like their will. We were confronted with our self in a mirror
So we were literally confronted with our body every single day for 3 or 4 years.
Looking at yourself for hours and hours and hours a day in almost nothing is so hard to deal with without getting a complex.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone managed to do it. I remember that a tutor once said that I had to energize my legs and that my legs were heavy, right? And I'm sure that it was meant to be helpful, but if you take a word like heavy as a girl, you know, I never heard that term being used for a guy. It might be because men are taught to jump higher at drama school, which is another thing entirely, but I heard it being used for a few girls, and I think some of my friends had similar comments.
That same comment.
This exact same one.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wonder if they would be saying that to me if I didn't have cellulite.
Which is it's supposed to be there.
It's protecting my limbs.
About cellulite. It's supposed to be there. It's natural.
I kind of, firstly, I was like, I'm not thinking legs be heavy. You know, I'm very much thinking legs be light. And also then you just take that word and, you know, preconditioned Lucy goes, heavy legs. And from that moment on, then I've got a complex about my thighs. Again, I already had one. It's doubled.
And now you're doing triple the amount of squats you normally do.
And then, I remember after that comment going and doing loads of trying to do loads of plyometric stuff.
And also the fact that you can't remove fat from a very specific area of your body. That
right? You can't target it. You can't.
It doesn't work. It comes from the whole place at once. Yeah, you can't target any particular area. And I definitely thought I could. Even though physically I couldn't, but I thought by the power of my own will, I will slim down my legs. And now, what would you say if someone if anyone is listening, if they got that comment, heavy legs? I mean, I hope that they don't. But if anyone gets anything of that vein, what would you sort of translate that to?
It might feel really awkward, but you have to go back to the teacher and go, what did you mean? Because, I mean, maybe some people can hear the comment heavy legs and know how to change that, you know how to go, cool, well, I know exactly what to do. But the only way that I actually improved after getting that comment was by going back to the teacher and going, where exactly should I be feeling this? Or what exactly do I have to do in order to improve that? And then the teacher said, well, in this part of ballet class, you need to really be focusing on this and improving this. And I was like, okay, good. I can work with that. That gives me something practical that I can work on.
Move your feet more.
It's annoying, but I think one thing I really wish I realised at drama school was that I was an adult paying for a course, not a child wanting to impress a teacher. So you have to go, this is something that I've paid for and I'm going to get out of it what I want, and go, I'm an adult, so I'm going to go and ask another grown-up a question about my learning, just as you would a tutor at university. Just because you're at drama school, it doesn't change the relationship that you have with your tutors necessarily. They are there to educate you. If you're intimidated by someone, that's their problem, it's not yours.
So valuable. Oh my god, I want to put that in quotations.
And I'm not saying that it's a reason to sit back and go, I've earned my place here and I'm amazing because I'm at one of the best drama schools in the country, blah, blah, blah. It's not that at all. It's that at the same time you are paying a load of money.
Yep.
You're going to be in debt forever, and you're only going to have that one chance. And then take a step back and realize what doesn't serve you. Because I took on every single thing. I was like, okay, yes, I'll do everything. Yeah. And now I struggle prioritizing. Whereas if you can go, okay, this comment has affected me, but is it going to serve me? No? Back across the table.
You are in control. And I think we spent so much time at school being in that kind of fear state of feeling like we were the teachers were the gods and we were there to serve.
Exactly. Oh, totally. You can absolutely be respectful and learn without being afraid. And respecting your own boundaries. I remember a comment in my first year, and first year we had a day, I think it was Fridays, where there was so much going on, there was so much dance, and we had jazz straight into ballet. I was eating pasta in between because the week before I had started to feel really faint in ballet, because I mean jazz is really intense and you sweat a lot. So obviously you're very dehydrated, you're in very hot rooms, and that's like 3 hours of dance. And so I was eating some pasta before the lesson, and I remember a teacher looking at me and going, "How are you going to hold in your stomach after that?"
Oh no.
And I think maybe another time I would have kind of been like, "Oh, okay, I'll stop." But I wasn't in the mood for it that day, and I went, "I just don't want to feel faint like I did last week." And she shut up. I don't give a sod if my stomach sticks out a little bit.
Like like if you're using your muscles, you're using muscles. It's regardless of like how you look.
Exactly. If that was the case, then like no, and you know, if what she was saying was true or accurate in any way, then no woman would ever be able to dance on her period ever. You know, like just and we managed it. So I don't think that my relationship with my body was perfect. I think drama school literally just heightened whatever insecurities I already had. And also what I was starting to learn about health and exercise was then empowering my insecurity. So basically it took all of this, you know, all of these feelings, I didn't really know where to put them about my body, and it went here. Obsess over food and exercise and you can control your feelings and you will be happy with your body forever. There were times that I looked in the mirror and I went, I am really happy with how I look. The reality of that was not healthy. You know, what I was actually eating, the fact that I was so hungry.
Like I've had moments where I've looked in the mirror and been like, oh yeah, I got that 6-pack. I look great. And I can say that, yes, I'm happy with how I look.
But am I happy? At school, we were so focused on A to B, and you know, get this done, do this thing. You know, you're always so busy, and we didn't really have enough time to concentrate on our happiness. Really, I was basing my happiness purely on how I looked and how others perceived me, and how much people were telling me I'm doing good. But I never told myself that I'm doing good. I never like was grateful for my own things. You know, it's like the first step, I feel like, is if you're not feeding yourself the right food and you're feeding yourself those like happy things, and if you're basing every single day on something negative, like I need to look this certain way because as I am right now is not good enough,
Yes.
it will just like trickle into every single element in your entire life.
For me, I put all of my happiness on external sources. Finally, over the last couple of years, I've started to find happiness from myself, you know, like internally rather than externally. And it's something that you have to do as well, because particularly in our industry, everything happens in fits and starts and nothing is constant or reliable. So you can be living your dream for a few weeks and then just nothing.
And then there's a global pandemic.
And then there's a global pandemic and you're stuck inside for 7 months. Yeah.
Okay.
And you lose all of your jobs.
Love that. Then you get literally like you're literally stuck with just yourself and your internal thoughts.
And your internal thoughts.
Yeah.
And you realise that you have to build up a way of making yourself happy. So in terms of body image, I left college and I turned into the most anxious person ever. I think I already was, but leaving college basically just felt like being chucked into the sea without a life. I mean, I started controlling what I was eating even more. I went on a gym plan, even if, again, it made me feel happier about the state that my body was in. And even if it gave me some physical happiness, some mental health happiness, because, you know, exercising does help. It wasn't the kind of exercise that I enjoyed most. In terms of happiness and relating that to physical health now, I really mix up whatever I'm doing. So I've stopped taking what I do for my body from an aesthetic basis, and I do exercise that I love, which ironically is dancing. So, you know, rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to have a more toned stomach or more defined triceps, or, you know, I have gone, what is actually going to help me get out of bed and do some exercise. And that is, I'm going to get up and do a dance workout on YouTube. It makes me feel empowered. And you feel good in your skin. And now I eat food that sustains me, is enough for me, and also tastes good. I don't think I ever want to have a dish with a side of plain unseasoned quinoa ever again. I would
more quinoa.
No more quinoa. The hardest thing is listening to your body. My God.
You've like taken, for literally years and years, you have
Yes.
like shut it up and like been like your body's been like, hello, I kind of want to have an input here. Can I be in this meeting? And then you're literally there like, no. Meg.
No, brain knows what's best for you, body.
And the heart's like, I have some issues with this whole thing. And the brain's like, no, we're going to listen to all the fad diets because I'm reading the things. Funny enough, I really enjoy high intensity cardio. Like there's something about it.
Oh, great. Good for you.
When I first started doing it, I did it because I hated myself.
Right, cool.
So like I would genuinely, and I think it's so like, so I mean I can laugh about it now because I'm just like, oh my God, but it's sad, but I use humor to cover up sadness,
as we all do.
But I used to do those workouts in first year of drama school, and I used to genuinely think, I would look at my body fat and I'd be like, burn it away, get it gone. And I'd be doing like sit-ups, and I'd be looking at my rolls, and I'd be like, yeah, get it, I'm gonna burn it away. And I'm like literally so negative, and it would come from such a negative place, and really about like, actually I thought I genuinely thought the more I hated my body, the more the fat will just fizz away, like for some really bizarre reason. I was like, if I can just hate it away and it will just go. So horrible. And it's that rewiring and trying to now like do exercise because it makes me feel really good and it fills me with energy and it's meditative, and now cardio, and I'm glad that I found that I can do it now with a healthy mental state. And I say mantras to myself while I'm working out. Genuinely, I would say out loud to myself, and sometimes obviously not out loud. If I'm at the gym, I'd be like, go on, you're amazing, saying out loud in the gym.
That's such a brilliant mental image.
Like, you have a great ass. So
get it, girl.
Bigly and great, and I love it like that. Have you seen that girl who does mantras in the mirror, and she's like,
I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great.
I gave myself negative mantras, the opposite of mantras, I guess, while working out beforehand, and now switching it around. And it's definitely a practice. I've had to do it over the past 4 years. I find I like that because it feels like a very practical thing. And you don't have to literally meditate like hum, like we were sort of talking about yesterday. Like your meditation can be you're going for a run or doing a little workout. But if you can add like mantras while you're doing that, just say it to yourself. Yes. It does actually work. Katie was telling me that your brain is made out of lots of neural pathways, and they're like paths in a wood. So the more you walk that track, the more cemented,
the stronger it gets.
Stronger that path is.
I heard that.
And I strengthened that path so strongly. And if you say those negative things over and over, it's going to become like a highway, and it's set in concrete. And it's going to be really hard to break. But actually, if you make those new neural pathways, like, I love my body, I love myself, I love how I look, and you literally, the more you walk that path and you make it a daily practice. This is science.
Focus first on the things that you really genuinely like about your body. And that does manifest. Our bodies are so amazing. The only person that misses out when we hate our bodies is ourselves. If we're kinder to ourselves, we're going to be kinder about the way that we see other people. We're going to be less judgmental. What would I say to Lucy at 15 years old? I would say that you are at the moment so happy and filled with confidence. Don't let yourself be put in that box that everyone else wants you to be in. I was so happy to climb into that box at drama school and just sit there and be like, yay, I'm in a box. The way that I see myself at 15 when I think back to how I was, she was cracking. Keep it. Do not lose it. Do not apologize for being who you are. Don't make yourself smaller.